Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase. We are on the late lunch hour, and I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. Of course, let's do our homework first. If you don't know me, I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of relationship building. And what that means is I really help take you through probably one of the most difficult times in your life, really enlighten you and empower you into moving into who you are going to become. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today with our wonderful guest. We're going to talk about the ripple effects of healing, and as we move through the journey that we have in our lives. And sometimes it can be quite daunting, but also on the other side, it can be very enlightening and very exciting. Just do some quick homework. If you guys want to see more of our shows, just go to goingsolomedia.com. It's got everything on there. We are live here on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We want to thank you for listening. We have a comment section. It's live. It's open. You're welcome to make comments, ask questions, and join us in the chat today. We would love to have you. So let's move right on into it. We have our guest right here with us today. Hello there. How are you?
Hi, Cece. Thank you so much for your presence. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening and having me on the show. I'm so excited and beyond grateful to be here.
Well, Anna Rich is a life coach. She's an author. She's embodied a yoga teacher. Her work is about reconnecting back to ourselves and releasing our childhood traumas. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. We're going to talk about the ripple effect of healing. So tell us a little bit, Anna, how your journey started and what moved you into being a life coach, an author, and also a yoga teacher.
As I observed, and it is also for myself, everything that we teach or other coaches teach comes from our own background, our own childhood, and this is what we needed to hear. And my background is similar too. I started working on healing myself because I love my family and they did the best they could, but I was raised in a very unhealthy environment. My father was an alcohol addict and drug addict. And you know how it is. Nobody's family is perfect. And then as I grew up, I was so unconscious and I was so unaware that all of my friendships and relationships was mirroring my childhood. And then I was 19 years old when I got married. And I know it's early in the US, but it's very normal in my country. And then I was 20 years old when I gave birth. And imagine being unconscious, that I was not aware of my own childhood traumas. I was not aware of why I was doing the certain things that I was. I was not aware why I was always feeling so unlovable and why chaos was my blueprint and why every time my life went amazing, I was recreating the chaos in my life and self-sabotaging myself. And that's what I mean by unconscious. And I remember my son was 10 months old and I was sitting in the room looking at him. And I had this realization of everything suddenly made sense, but not in the words, like when you get the feeling that you cannot name. And I suddenly became aware that I was always complaining. I was always searching for someone or some place to make me happy. And every time I got at that point that previously I thought that would make me happy, I was still unhappy. And I just had this realization of how my childhood was the reflection, my life was the reflection of my childhood. And then that's when I started to really do the work and I completely removed entertainment from my life. I started to listen to the podcast. I started to journal. I started to do yoga. I then did the yoga teacher training, which was very challenging because my husband was a full-time student and working part-time. I had no one around to stay with my baby. So I had to be with my son all day long. And he was still waking up 4 to 5 times at night. And then I had this small window of the evening when I could go and do the things for myself. And then after I started to do the yoga teacher training, I reconnected to my childhood passion, which is writing, and I started my own blog. And from there, it was all uphill. I gained 58 pounds. I hated my body. I was at my lowest place when I gave birth. And I started to meal prep. I was eating the same thing every single day for the whole year. And I just started to really work on myself. And at first, it was so glamorous and I was feeling so amazing. But then all the childhood trauma started to raise, and all my shadow work all my shadows became, I was so aware of the things that was not working in my life. And at times I even wanted to, like, when something huge happens in your life and you are doing so much trauma healing, there is a point in, not everyone's life, but in majority of people's, when you want to die. I had like so many dark moments, and doing all this work, and so many people telling me I should be a coach, I should do coaching, I should just, because people were coming to me, bringing their boyfriends. So one of my friends was telling me, like, you should just like do this for everyone that you are doing for me. And then I started to listen to it as a sign from the universe. And I wrote a book, and even writing this book was such a challenge because we decided to move to a different state. We decided to buy a van, sell everything, and travel with a toddler in the van. I was writing a book, and all of that somehow manifested, long story short, by me being here and by the hard work that I did on myself. Now I have this space and capacity to do the same for others as well, and create this safe space of healing for another people and for another person.
You're so right. I mean, I hear it time and time again, and even myself, not realizing our past can really dictate or move us through to the journey of what we're on. And often we pick the wrong people in our lives because of being familiar with the trauma behavior that had happened when we were younger. And with just like you, I didn't realize exactly what was happening in my life. I just kept knowing that it wasn't going the way I had hoped that it would go. And I was writing a book. I'm a collaborative author in a book with Mari Mitchell, and she asked me to write a chapter, and I wrote a chapter in the book. And when I sat down to write the chapter, it just flowed out of me. I mean, I kept putting it off. And then when I decided to, that morning, I had to do it because I had to turn it in that day. And so I wrote it. It took me half an hour to write it. And it just flowed out of me. And I realized then that, like you, that the trauma that happened when I was very young, I was I had a grandmother that was very mean on my mother's side, which I know that now my mother was probably abused, and that's probably what we had in common. And when my parents would be gone, she would do the same thing to me. She was terrible to me, and not realizing, thinking not happy, of course, of the way it was. And then when my parents found out, they changed that. But that situation or that behavior that I had experienced when I was very, very little really has moved me through to my life today, and realizing that I'm picking people in my life that I'm comfortable with because of that bad behavior. And then that bad behavior, again, is reflected upon me. And it's like, why are people doing this? Because I'm not like that. And I'm thinking, why is this happening? But again, it's because it's the ripple effect of what's happened in your life. And so I think that is so important. Now, is that the name of your book, The Rippled Effect of Healing? Is that the name of your book?
Your voice got cut off. What was your question again?
What is the name of your book?
The name of my book is Back to Yourself, because even writing this book helped me to find the way back to myself, because I was so disconnected of myself. That's why I wrote this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I can definitely relate to what you were saying, is that from finding out that things had happened when you were, then when you find it out, when you kind of figure out what it is, right, then you can move forward in a very positive way, because you have a clearer understanding or awareness of what's happening to you and as you move forward. So share with us when you were experiencing that you felt like the universe kept showing you where you needed to go, what you needed to do. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I believe that you cannot love anyone, your child, yourself, if you do not understand them, because we cannot fully know ourselves ever. Because I have done so many things that I'm like, Annie, why did you just say that? Or why did you just do that? Because even our own self surprises us. But we can understand ourselves, and we can understand how we work the best, what what we need in our environment, or what we need to feel our best and be the best version of ourselves. And when the healing happens, and when you have this realization, so for example, like the smallest realization was for me because I keep cleaning and cleaning every single day, every single moment, because that's how I was raised. My grandmother was like that. And I had to ask myself, do I really care about the house all the time, or do I prefer to go and read a book when my son naps? And the answer was, I really don't care how the house looks because it will be a mess in 30 minutes. So I preferred to read the book. But the deeper realization was, no matter where I went, I always felt so unlovable. Like I could see that people loved me, but what you just know and what you feel can be completely two different things. What you know logically is that these people love you, but I never felt loved. And I had to understand where that comes from. And when that realization comes, it is not always easy. Like the cleaning realization was so simple. I was like, oh, I'm not going to clean that much. But this love thing, because we are so relational beings, human beings, was so much deeper. And when I had this realization, I had to put so much work and so much conscious effort of, for example, because every single day I was waking up and there was an argument in my house, my instinct when I wake up is that I want to close my eyes and I want to disappear. And even now, sometimes if I don't create the right environment for me, when I open my eyes, I need to meditate. I need to like consciously program my mind and my subconscious mind before I go to sleep, because this is the habit. All the things that we have in our life is just habits, nothing else. But when you are doing something for 20 years plus, this habit becomes so challenging to replace. And I'm not a fan of removing the habits, because you need to replace it in order for it to be easier. So when you have these realizations, it's not always that simple. It's not always the positive way that comes. So sometimes you just go to a very dark place because you just realize how much of your life was lie and how much of your problems are illusions, and your mind is creating it because of the familiar past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. It's you do have to have that conscious ability, the conscious mind, to be able to manifest, I think, what you truly want. And so often, we say we can't achieve things, but it's really our own mind, our own self that's holding us back, right? And so we want to manifest and believe what it is that we're looking for. And I just noticed that you could see my dog and the how funny is that? But it is so true, is that in order to lift us up, and to be able to move us forward, it really takes our own consciousness and awareness to be able to do that. So are there any tips that you can share with our audience today on how can we really dig deep in order to be able to, move ourselves forward? If you were speaking to one of your clients today, how would you answer that question?
If I was speaking to one of my clients, I would ask them the questions. I would be the one asking them the questions. But I can just tell you how it was for me personally.
Yes.
And there is one simple answer. It is awareness, 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 because it is the only thing that works, the awareness and willpower. But there are also the tools that we can use to maintain that awareness. For example, yoga was one of my tools. Monitoring my thoughts. And at first, when I sat down to do nothing and to just listen to my thoughts, I almost went crazy. I had so much emotions coming up, because the body is the unconscious mind. The body keeps all the trauma. The body keeps all the emotions, and it manifests into health problems. So when I first sat down to just listen to my thoughts, I was just like, I cannot stay with myself. First is to create the awareness and to become conscious and monitor every single thought, and not to force yourself, And I was not doing that at first, but be loving with yourself. Imagine, like, you have been doing this thing for so many years. Give yourself time. And just as meditation, just be aware of your thoughts, pay attention to it. And then when your focus drifts, just come back to it and just forgive yourself for not being the best version of yourself. Also, just writing down my limiting beliefs and the beliefs that helped me. I also have the list, to-do list and not to-do list. I also created a pleasure list and the list 10 things that drain my energy and 10 things that gives me energy. Because this whole process is so challenging for so many people, because you have to just really sit down and look at yourself in the eyes and go inward after all these years. And whatever we see there, we don't like that. So you have to journal, talk to yourself. I was talking to myself in the mirror. I was just like started to talk out loud because of the thoughts that got so chaotic in my mind. It is an every single moment work on ourselves, and it is challenging. And that's why so many people are afraid to do it, because it can get so hard at times. Meditation is a great tool. And meditation can be anything that we do mindfully. So often people think that we have to sit down and close our eyes. You can wash your dishes mindfully. There is a quote that said, Zen life is not thinking about philosophy while peeling the potato. Zen life is thinking about the potato while peeling the potato. And if you are washing your dishes and thinking about the warmth of the water, if you're just breathing consciously, if you're thinking about the dishes, or if you're thinking about the gratitude, how grateful you are to have these dishes, then this is your meditation. If you're walking mindfully while feeling your body and your legs, then that is your meditation. Everything that gives you energy and you can do mindfully is meditation. You don't have to just sit down. There are so many tools. People can do so many things. I would just say like
really
yoga,
great.
meditation, journaling, moving your body. I even started to do Krav Maga. I just started painting, playing the piano, dancing when nobody's watching. There is so many ways. I would just say you are the scientist of your body. Just ask yourself, what will give me energy at this second? And the brain will find the answer, because no matter what even if I tell you the yoga is the best tool, it might not help you. And there are so many scientists saying that egg is good for you, or others don't eat the egg. But what we have to do is just eat the egg and listen to our body and how it feels. And if we enjoy, the belly enjoys it, and we feel good afterwards and we don't feel drained, let's eat it. If you're doing a workout, I was doing 1 hour workout and I felt so drained afterwards. And I decided it is not for me. And I started to do 5, 10, 20-minute workouts. It just ask to your body questions, because questions are so crucial. Your brain is like supercomputer, and you just need to give it an order. Just write down, what would give me an energy right now? What would be my meditation right now? How can I feel best? Just ask yourself questions. And the best way to answer that is just your own inner voice will tell you what you need at that specific second.
So it's really like living in the present, isn't it? Living very much in the present. So often our minds drift off to other things, and like we'll be thinking like, well, we need to be doing this and that. As we're washing the dishes, we're thinking about all the other things that we could be doing during this time, instead of just being in the moment and taking that breather as we're washing those dishes and kind of unwinding a little bit. I totally get what you're saying. I mean, we live in a very fast-paced environment. We're on the go all the time. Our minds are on the go. We're constantly moving. And so sometimes we just need to slow it down just a little bit. Don't you think?
Yes, because we're this living organism. We think that we have to be someone or earn something or achieve something in order to be. But imagine like a tree. Tree needs water. Tree has its own seasons. We don't say when it's winter, oh, the tree is not enough because it doesn't have leaves. We all expect the tree to not have leaves. Why do we expect so much from ourselves? And even meditation and being present is just being part of the life. We are the living organisms. If we drink water, we feel good. If we drink alcohol, we don't feel good. If you pour the alcohol to the flower, it won't feel good. We are just so simple. We are just simple living organisms, and we have just disconnected ourselves from it. Especially in the Western culture, it's like be, go, go, go. It's becoming, it's about becoming. And it is amazing to live in the present future reality, because we have to pay bills. We have to be realists. We have to earn money to eat the food. But still, we can have these times of just being and feeling enough. I have finally arrived at this place, not all the time. I also forget this, where I'm not doing anything, I'm not being productive, and I feel enough. And we need to just remember that no matter what we do or don't do, we are enough. There is no other way. You are enough simply because you were born.
Mm-hmm. That totally makes sense. We're going to take a quick break. And Anna, when we come back, let's talk about how we can disconnect a little bit, because what happens in our lives, we're getting emails and we're getting texts on our phones, and now we have a watch that has our everything, and we can't disengage in order to really be more centered in ourselves. And so let's talk about the value of that and what we can do to be able to start maybe disconnecting when we need to, so that we can focus on our being, right, ourselves. And I think that would be important. So we're going to take a quick break, everyone. We'll be right back. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase. I have our wonderful guest here on with us today, Anna Rich. She's a life coach, author, and she's a yoga teacher, which is very cool. And we're going to talk a lot more when we get back. So stick around. We value you. We appreciate you listening. And we'll be back in just one moment. Thank you so much. Welcome back. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we are so happy to have you back here. I am Cece Shatz, a Doyenne of relationship building. And if you guys want to reach me, of course, my email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com, and our websites there, goingsolonetwork.com and goingsolomedia.com. We have our wonderful guest here with us today. We're talking about the ripple effect of healing with Anna Rich, and she is a life coach, an author, and a yoga teacher. First part of the show, Anna, we talked about really kind of being present in our lives, really understanding and awareness of maybe some things that might have happened in our childhood that has brought us forward, that's possibly affecting our lives, but being more centered and really understanding what it is that makes you tick, what brings you joy, what maybe upsets you and is not good for you, to how to move through those things, but really how to enlighten you to be able to be more focused and centered on what it is that we want to accomplish in our lives. And let's talk a little bit. We were talking about at the other part of the show is that let's talk about how can we disconnect from maybe society itself, right? From the emails and the messages, the text messages and the phone and all of these things that seem to absorb us, but kind of take a little bit of a piece of us away, right? Because we're not centered on ourselves. We're not focused on what brings us happiness or gives us joy, or how we can even focus on our path and our journey as we want to move forward in life. So tell us, share with us a little bit some of your suggestions on being more focused on us, right? On us as individuals.
First of all, why should we even disconnect? Because we talk so much about we should disconnect, not just me and you. We just hear it. We should disconnect and reconnect to ourselves. And so when we forget to say why, we have to do it because to just feel good. If you in your life are feeling amazing, energized, if you are waking up grateful for your life and you are looking forward to your day, then you don't need me. You are doing way better than majority of the people. But if you're someone like I was and still am at some days, that so many people wake up tired, they hate their own life, they feel drained all the time, and they feel disconnected, and some of them can't even put it into words. And in reality, they feel disconnected from their selves because they have so much external stimulus and they are doing so many things externally that they just forget to spend some time with themselves. I remember throughout my journey, I was experimenting with different things and sometimes not experimenting, but had no idea how to do any other way. And I thought that I should always feel happy, that I should search for happiness, that I should search for peace. And I was so anxious to achieve all of those things until I was so tired, because so often we don't make change happen in our lives because we are so fulfilled and happy. We make change and transformation happen because we cannot accept our own reality anymore, or we hit the rock bottom. But rock bottom is often a solid foundation and we bounce back immediately. And sometimes the most beautiful things in life comes after hitting the rock bottom. And when you hit the rock bottom, you just fully relax because sometimes people don't have any more energy to just go out and do things. And that happened to me. And then I had this realization that I had to focus on myself and feel good, because I was always trying to make others feel good because I thought that was the key. And the moment I started working on my own self and creating this pleasure list and paying attention to what drains my energy and what not, and I was actually feeling happy and fulfilled, all of these things started to come to my life. My husband was even joking, if you wanted something, like just say and you'll manifest it, because I became a manifestation queen and I had no idea why it was happening. I only needed to mention that I wanted to meet someone or I wanted something, and it just appeared in my life sooner or later. And then I was thinking, what has changed in my life? Why am I wanted to meet someone and I might have seen them. I remember when I was living in Hawaii and the pandemic hit, I had not much things to do. And I wanted to meet this person who is very famous in Hawaii. And I just said it. And in a week, I met him. I remember I wanted to buy clothes for my son. And in a few days, one of my friends brought big bag of clothes to me because his son outgrew them. And I have so many stories like that, some of them even crazier. And it all happened because I decided to focus on myself and be happy. And it is not a selfish thing to do. You need to connect to what's within, because we think we have to do something in order to achieve something we want to. And the reality is that you just need to feel good. Sometimes I just sit by myself and I'm just feeling good, and people start to talk to me and they tell me so much of their personal life, and they even stay amazed. They are like, wow, I have never told this to anyone. because I just feel so good in myself, and I just feel so grounded in myself because I spend time with myself. That's the key. If you want to connect to yourself, you have to spend time with yourself. And spending time with yourself literally looks how it sounds. You have to just stay alone with yourself and just understand yourself as we talk to. And
this is exactly why, and that I wanted to have you on the business showcase, is because so often we're so busy in this fast-paced world today, right? We're focused on business, we're focused on all these things, but the reality is that we have to focus on ourselves,
just
and
ourselves,
our inner being, so that we can project out what it is that we want in our lives, and so that we can receive what we want in our lives. And so I thought, what better show to have you on, even though I know you're an author, a brilliant author, and you do the yoga, so health and all of that is very important. But what better way to inspire business leaders today to be able to go forward, step forward into their lives and their journeys as they want to, so that they understand that all they have, the tools that all they need is from within. And
always.
And having a coach, a life coach, or someone that can kind of draw that out a little bit, that can kind of keep you centered, keep you balanced to be able to move forward in your life, is truly what most people do very much need. And so, I am so pleased that you came on the show here today, and that you're talking about this, and that you're talking about how you can disconnect from the world around you a little bit to have that home
Inner connection.
sense of peace. Yeah.
Because all of your relationships are the mirror of the relationship you have with yourself. Mine is the childhood trauma, and the childhood trauma creates the relationship that you have with yourself, and then the relationship you have with yourself just creates other relationships. If you tell to yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start working out, and you don't keep the promise, you're not keeping the promise to anyone else. If you make a mistake and you're self-talking, and sometimes we treat ourselves even worse. When you make a mistake and your inner thoughts are how stupid you are, like nothing is going to work for you, and all of those awful things people say to themselves. Imagine, of course, if someone makes a mistake, they will treat them that way too. When I started to be compassionate to myself, when I started to forgive myself, because I like to be perfectionist, and when I made mistake, I was like, your future is ruined. And then I had to change that thought. And then when my husband made the mistake, I was so critical to him too. But the moment I changed it for myself and I became forgiving, and I told myself, okay, this is a new moment. Let's be present in this new moment. You made a mistake in the last moment. Now we have a new present moment. You can create change, and you can be a different self. You can be the person you imagine you want to be, and you can match who you are and who you want to become right now. And when I had this habit inside of me, when my husband made mistakes, I was so forgiving for him, because I was treating him the way I was. When I saw myself as a regular human being, I saw him as a regular human being. I saw my son, my toddler, as a regular human being. And all of these relationships, all of the things that you do, and the way you do one thing is the way you do another thing. If you don't finish your workouts, you don't finish your work. If you don't pay attention to your relationship, you don't pay attention to your relationship with your co-worker. And everything just starts here within. There is no other way. If you think that this connecting outside to the outside will help you, you will just find yourself being unhappy and unjoyful. And happiness should never be the goal, because if you chase something, you energetically create this blockage in your life. There is a quote which I love, and that says, wanting nothing attracts everything. When you are just in your being and working on yourself to just feel good, that's the word you can get. Like, remember, to just feel good, feel good, feel good, and think the thoughts that help you. You create this space around you to just manifest everything that you want, and you will be surprised when you actually feel good, how amazing and phenomenal your life can get. And that's what I do with my clients too. I just ask them questions. I always tell them, I am just guide. I can only tell what's best for my own life because I understand myself. And by asking them questions, I help them understand themselves. And then I understand them too. Obviously, sometimes I give them tips and I give them advice, but people only take action and change their lives when they have their own realizations themselves. That's the key. No matter how much so your friend tells you need to make change happen, you will only do it when you feel ready and you have realized that by yourself. So, and if you don't want to have a coach, just ask yourself questions all the time and you will understand yourself.
Yeah, all our answers are within, right? We all have the answers. We just
disconnected
we
from
just
it.
need a little help bringing them forward, don't we? Let's
And
share with
sometimes I
you.
also say, I'm just going to quickly mention something. I sometimes, if I feel anxious, I just say like, peace within me. I choose to connect to you because I know this anxiousness inside of me. I know this peace is inside of me. I know fear, jealousy, all the good and bad is inside of me. And I just say out loud, like if I have negative thoughts, one of, I have my own podcast. It's called Intuitive Reach, and I was interviewing someone, and I learned it from him that when he has some thought, he just says cancel, cancel, and I just say out loud cancel from then, and then just I choose to reconnect to the peace within me. I choose to reconnect to the positivity within me, and you can just feel that in your body. I just wanted to add that.
Oh yeah, that's good information. Very good information. I wanted to share your website that you have. So it's Anna ANI Rich RICH.com. And then you also have a blog. And I would
Yes.
think you can get that on your website. And then
Mm-hmm.
also your podcasts are on Apple Podcasts. So everyone can reach you there. So again, it's ANIRICH.com. So we drop this down into a podcast. We want to make sure everyone can get it. So thank you so much. I mean, and show your book one more time. And the title of it is
The book's name is Back to Yourself.
Back
And
to
I
Yourself.
love this book. It took 1 year for me to write it. And I actually was so critical of myself until I got so many positive feedback from the people around me. So apparently it even helps me. It helps people. So people can find it on Amazon if they want to.
Yeah, on Amazon. So Back to Yourself. So that's the name of the book. So make sure that you guys get it. You can get it on at Amazon, of course. Well, thank you. Gosh, it was so nice to have you on the show. You're such an inspiration. You truly are. And I just think you're an absolute marvelous person. And you I know you help people move forward in their lives, and you're a pure example of that. So thank you so much for being who you are. So would you like to share any last words with our audience today?
Yes, I would love people to tell them that I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. If I stop working on myself, I stop creating space within me that can allow me to help others too. And I just want to tell you that you are enough as you are. Just because you are born, you are enough. And I just want to tell you that be a little more compassionate and loving to your own self. This legs that has been moving you since you are born, and to your hands, and breathe and just love yourself a little extra today because you deserve it and you are enough. And thank you, Cece, for your presence and having me in this show. It was absolute pleasure for me. Thank you so much for your energy too. Beautiful soul. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have trauma in their lives. And, when they were little, moving forward, whatever. And it's really connecting with ourselves to be able to have a clear understanding of who we are and how we want to move forward, and really open the gates to be able to do that. And then connect with awesome people like yourself, a life coach, a yoga teacher, all of those things that really help give you more focus in your life. Anna, a friend of mine shared with me a long time back. She was very busy. She was in my divorce support group, and she started feeling better, trying to move forward, trying to find her way, figuring out her joy, as you had mentioned. And she was busy, busy, busy. And then she came to me and she said, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm still so unhappy, and I'm still so alone. I feel still so alone. Well, the reality is that she wasn't really truly connected with herself, right? With her core, with her values, with what really does bring her happy. She wasn't centered. And so I believe that what you said here today can help many people that are feeling that same thing. They're busy, 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 but they still feel lost. They still feel that there's something within them that hasn't quite been touched. And that's because they need to be able to know how to be in touch with themselves. And so I want to thank you so much for sharing with us today, because it's very important. It's very vital that we do that. So again, let's share your website information so people can contact you. And you do coaching anywhere, right?
Yes, coaching anywhere. Right now, I lived in the US, but I moved back to Europe, and
Mm-hmm.
I can teach yoga and I can coach people. Not coach, it's a label, it's a name, but I can guide people from
Yes.
wherever they are, whenever they want to. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel very blessed to be able to do so.
That's great. So again, her website is ANIRICH.com. So very simple, very easy. And listen to her podcast on Apple Podcasts. You're a delight. And thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Well, everyone, that's it for the Business Showcase. Again, this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationship Building. I hope you like what you heard today. I hope you'll join us right back here, same time, same place. Stick around. We're going to have the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. We have a terrific author that we're going to be bringing forward. So I hope you'll stick around for that right here on the Going Solo Network. And again, our website's goingsolomedia.com and goingsolonetwork.com. You'll find everything right there on our website. So please stick around. Stay with us right here on Facebook and our YouTube channel. We're going to be live, and we'd love to be able to have you and have your comments and be able to share with you all of these wonderful guests that we have. Thank you, Anna, very much for being with us. We appreciate it. Okay, bye now.
Bye.